right, everybody, I wanted to welcome you back to another Fluid Webinar Series event. Very excited today. We're going to discuss marketing automation, which is the new digital robot of the world to take care of a lot of the repetitive tasks that you may be doing with either an intern or you yourself are having to do. And so hopefully today's solution is going to show you a great way to remove some of those tasks from your daily workload and get back to the strategies and things that you really enjoy. Let me quickly introduce you. We're very honored today to have John Reese, Director of Digital Marketing for ADP here today. John, welcome.
Hi, thank you.
John, do you want to take just a brief second to introduce yourself and give us a short background?
Yeah, sure. Like Dustin mentioned, I'm currently the Senior Director of Digital Marketing at ADP, and that entails a little of everything, actually.
I made it at 4 instead of 4:30, so you can get out of here.
Okay.
And the sandwiches have been ordered.
Absolutely, and hold on, we will get to this. All muted, everybody. Sorry about that.
Everyone, we're hearing everyone.
Yes. Not that we don't want to hear you, but
there's a time and place for that.
There absolutely is. Well, so again, thank you, John. As usual, I'm Dustin Cederholm. I'm the Digital Marketing Director for Fluid. I spent a number of time with a multitude of clients here at Fluid, as well as in previous experience with e-commerce companies and more direct, even a transportation company that is currently a billion-dollar organization. But my real specialty is in automation, so although I've done a number of these with you guys, today is the day I get to really talk about what I'm passionate about, and I hope you guys enjoy as well. So without further ado, we'll just jump right into it. As usual, you can find us on Twitter at Fluid Webinar Series. Use that hashtag if you want to make any comments or you have questions. We'll be live tweeting the event as well. You can find us at GetFluid, and you can find John at John T. Reese. So real quickly, we're really happy to have you all on here, and I'm sure you're asking the question, why even consider marketing automation? It's definitely time to consider marketing automation. Marketing budgets still aren't growing all that much for head count. They definitely are, and we're seeing a transition from a lot of sales hires to even marketing or smarketing hires, as I think is the new term. But
I hadn't heard that. Smarketing is what you said?
Yeah. So that was, I only heard that a few weeks ago. I kind of fell in love. I thought at first it meant like smart marketing, but then I understood it to be sales plus marketing is now smarketing. So new term for you all as well.
Well, and honestly, sales is pushing a lot onto marketing, right? And there's always that dichotomy between the two, and there's always a healthy tension between sales and marketing. And so in my role, I see a lot of push from sales to do more, to qualify leads better, to give them higher quality, less leads. They're just not interested in a lead as we kind of have seen in the past, right?
Absolutely.
So they want that thing completely. You know, sales likes just to throw stuff over the fence that's completely qualified, and sales wants to become order takers, and you know
right.
that push is always there. So
absolutely, just pen it for them.
Yeah, exactly. Just it's all ready to fill out. Here, fill it out and close the deal.
Absolutely. And to this conversation, I think we're going to show you marketing automation as a bridge to the marketing and sales teams, and how marketing automation integrates with your CRM so that you actually have real-time data and sending alerts to tell your sales guys to make a phone call, or sending back to your marketing to tell your marketing guys to do a little bit more nurturing. So we'll really see that. Here's some of the stats that I thought were really interesting. You'll see that we have B2B CMOs, B2C represented, and everybody else. But just wanting to, as John mentioned here, increase the sales pipeline, and marketing automation is contributing an increase of 10% for that activity. So it's doing exactly what you were saying.
Yeah.
Another one here, CMO of top performing companies indicate that their most compelling reason for implementing marketing automation is increased revenue and get higher qualified leads. I think we all want that, and so another reason to consider marketing. It's great for B2C as well. They're looking at it from everything from cart abandonment to birthday emails, and I can attest to that. I actually just set up an automation program for a local elder home, and now we're able to send birthday cards and all kinds of other reminders without the use of the marketer anymore. And they're just absolutely loving that, and the residents of the home are also loving it and just wondering, how are you doing all of this work as one person? And so it's really increased the capacity.
Yeah, and I've got another stat I want to throw in there, and it's just top of my mind. But at ADP, we've kind of quoted the stat that 60% of all research before anyone fills out a lead form is done online, before ever picking up a phone and calling sales. So why not be part of that 60%? Actually, we're finding it to be more in the B2B realm, more of an 85%. 85% of all the leads that come in the door have done all of their research online before ever even picking up a phone or filling out a lead form. And so this marketing automation plays into that in a big way, because we need to stay in front of them somehow. We need to constantly hound and remind them. Yeah, 85% of that research is done upstream.
And that's happening now. So again, the time to consider marketing automation is now. So you guys have probably heard of automation before, may not be super clear as to what exactly it is, and so we want to give you a better understanding of that and define it in a couple different ways. First off, John and I were sitting here prior and just kind of talking about infographics that attempt to explain marketing automation. And as you can kind of see from here, there's a lot going on. And it really is a powerful tool that you can do a lot with. Putting it into a single infographic has not been perfected at this time, I don't think.
Yeah, and Dustin came to me and said, hey, you want to do this webinar on marketing automation? And then my wheels started turning. What is marketing automation? How do I wrap my head around that? Because I use it for so many different things in my job, in my realm. But how do you encapsulate that into one slide, one infographic? Because it just really does so many different things, and you can piecemeal it out as well. You can start small. So
that's a great point, actually, and we'll talk a little bit more about how you can piecemeal it to get the most out of it without having to put all your resources to creating really complex campaigns right out of the gate. I did want to give you a actual definition here of what Greenster said marketing automation is. And so Greenster's definition is: marketing automation forms the backbone for configuring nurture marketing campaigns across channels and managing communications based on prospective engagement. It's also one of the only ways marketers can actually start to attribute marketing spend to closed sales, something we all pretty much want. Fluid actually further defines it, and this is an infographic that we have and we can share in our follow-up communications. I found it interesting, though. I've yet to really find a single sentence to define marketing automation. So Greenster can't do it. I can't do it. But ours is just: marketing automation is a software platform that combines the individual programs normally required to operate complex marketing strategies, including emails, blogs, social, paid, organic, webinars, etc., into a central operating hub. It then automates repetitive tasks and helps personalize buyer journey without manual intervention or increased headcount. I think that's what, John, you and I really see the value in, is what can be done without actually adding people to the team.
Exactly, and that was a mouthful. It was, it's not one sentence, but it's two. But it does. It really amplifies your marketing team to enable you to do things that you wouldn't maybe normally have time for, or you don't have the bandwidth for. And so you set things up strategically, and I like these quotes at the top of the screen, or these stats at the top of the screen that are really relevant to this thing. And this is a great definition of marketing automation. So
appreciate it.
Read it a few times, because it'll make sense.
and we're going to send these slides. We don't expect you to follow all of that, and I'm still trying to catch my breath from reading that paragraph. So, but we hope you guys have a better understanding of it. Again, it's basically a central command hub that takes all of the different marketing channels that you're currently using, centralizes it, and then allows you to deploy messages through those different channels, and also receive data and information back based on how users are engaging. And then from there, it connects with your CRM to send information to your sales team and alerts for them to take actions as well. So that's pretty much what it is. Let's briefly just go over how to actually use marketing automation.
This gets into the weeds right here.
We get deep pretty quickly. So this is just a slide. I broke this longer image into two, but really this is kind of a sales funnel in general. And so we're going to start with the attraction phase. We're going to get them to engage, at which point we capture a lead. Usually that's a form. It can be a phone call that you direct entry into a CRM, or if you use programs like Inside Sales or some of the other phone companies out there, they can actually automate that process even for you. Once it's a lead, you know, not every lead is ready to buy, and so it will go into a nurture process where you're sending out emails and different touch points, trying to get them to engage on social media, again, email and on your blog and website, and then understanding how people actually react to those touch points. And then you can do lead scoring, which would tell somebody how close to the end of the funnel they really are. And so that's kind of the nurture prospects area and the convert cells. And then
that could actually even be I'm not disagreeing with you, but I also think that that's upstream a little bit too with the capture of the lead as well, because, you know, in our database we see that people come in, we have a pretty long sales cycle. They come in and at one point maybe they were interested in something, and then we don't see them again for 6 months, a year, right? And so the lead scoring is actually a component of that, and I have thresholds built. So, you know, if they start showing buying signs again, it starts automating some things out to them and tracks that interest. So you can actually use it for a myriad of different things. So
awesome, John. Actually, please expand on that. Let's talk. So we have anonymous versus known visitors, and that's a big part of this. And I think what you're talking about is a little bit of both.
Yep.
But let's specifically talk about anonymous and what are some of the features and benefits, and how are you using marketing automation to turn anonymous visitors into known users?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And there's a bunch of things and a couple different methods to do that. And I don't want to get too deep in here, but just, you know, to my specific example on here. But one thing that we do is our marketing automation system currently will track IP addresses. So people going to your website, for example, a couple different times, it tracks them. Now, we don't know who they are because, I mean, we know their IP address and there's tools to integrate into your marketing automation to grab that. But what we do is it just tracks it. And then we start noticing where they're going and showing buying signs. Are they going to pricing pages? Are they going to product pages? Are they just learning in general about some of the products? And we have distinctive pages for, you know, different purposes. And then we start, you know, attributing a score to that IP address. Now, eventually, we hope they fill out a lead form, because that really associates them with a contact in our marketing automation system. And so once it's associated with the contact, we have all that historical data of where they've been, what they've been doing, and it gives it a score. And then we have a threshold set up. So, you know, hypothetically, if we have a threshold of 40, for example, they do a bunch of things and we score each page, let's say 5 or 8 points or something like that. They start going through these pages and they eventually hit a 40, it pushes them into a lead. It generates a lead. Now that's kind of delicate because we have it generates a lead and our sales team outbound calls them. Delicate because you don't want to spook them. You know, where it's very, I don't know, like we're understanding who these people are, and they don't want to be, hey, I didn't fill out a lead, you know,
right.
or
I think we've all filled out that form and 5 minutes later gotten the phone call and been like, I wasn't ready for that.
Well, and even, but look at it this way too. Even if you filled out a lead form a year ago and you start doing these things, it still makes them hit the threshold. So you don't even fill out a lead form and you still get a call, that creeps people out. So you have to be delicate with that. Excuse me. So the anonymous is interesting because it's still, the marketing automation system still tracks anonymous visitors as long as we eventually gather that information. There's ways around that, and I wouldn't really suggest it because people get really creeped out when you know that they hit your website even though they didn't fill out a lead form ever. You know?
And where this can even be more helpful with what John's talking about with the IP tracking is in the B2B space. Where IP address is actually connected to a business name, you will start to see those businesses, and you can see, you know, is there 3 people from this business looking at the site, or is it 1 person looking at multiple pages? And that can give you a lot of understanding, and especially if you might happen to have meeting set up or something to that effect, you can bring in actual data of how that company has engaged on your site, and you're talking to, you know, warm topics versus, hey, how are you? Let's get to know each other. You come in looking very, very informed, and so the anonymous in the B2B space is especially valuable.
Yes.
And there are programs such as Demandbase that we'll throw out there that you can actually layer on top of the IP tracking that your automation is doing, and it can further supply you with the different names and some other analytics metrics that are very valuable for segmenting and some of the other things automation can do.
Yeah, that's a great point, and we pull that data in with other partners just based off IP addresses. Last week, my boss came to me and wanted to know, he had a list of the top 25 clients that we want to target, right? Mm-hmm. He's like, I want to know where they've been on the website. Now, the problem was, I can see where they've been. I can go in there. But, you know, at ADP, we attract Home Depot and Walmart and, you know, Lowe's and big, big companies. And so I start going in there and doing a little research and realize there's not one person that's going to our website. In fact, I did a little investigation, and we had Walmart. We had 1,800 people from Walmart on our website looking at our pages. I mean, they're the biggest employer, right? Period. So 1,800 people looking at it, and you start going, okay, where are they focusing their efforts? And then you start looking at analytics from a particular company. Mm-hmm. And so it's hugely valuable information, but, you know, it can be overwhelming. But anyway.
Absolutely. And we don't want to scare you guys off yet. Our next slides actually delve into the simplicity of this. But I like
Let's pull it back. Let's pull it back.
I'm actually going to just move you forward in the stage. Can you explain the nurture, prospect, and convert sales, and maybe how you guys have done that and what the tools you're using for?
Yeah, absolutely. We have campaigns built, and we use Eloqua. We have campaigns built that in feeders in these campaigns that people go through a lead flow process, right? Let's say we've already attracted, we've captured their lead at one point. Like I say, we have a really long sales cycle. They're not necessarily engaged or ready to buy quite yet. Well, you want to put them in a lead nurturing program. And we have maybe a 10-step lead nurturing program. We have a lot of lead nurturing programs, but depending on what they were interested in. I currently represent, you know, 10 or 15 different products, and so you want to make, you actually respond to them with products they're interested in. So let me simplify this. We have this lead nurturing campaign in the system that our sales reps will go through, and, you know, they'll call on a particular lead. They're not interested. They're not in the buying cycle. They're, you know, no budget quite yet, maybe a next year initiative type of thing. They hit reject on the lead, and it automatically feeds from Salesforce into Eloqua, into the lead nurturing program. And then they go through a series of email campaigns. It also integrates with Salesforce, so they'll get 3 emails, and then they'll spark a sales rep to call and say, hey, did you receive this last email? What do you think about it? Type of thing, in a very thought leadership manner. None of this is salesy. We've tried both. Salesy turns people off. And so this thought leadership program that we've got set up is, you know, based off our blog, based off some social media things that we've got. And these emails that go out are very, you know, top of mind, top of funnel, thought-provoking type of emails. So we don't sell anything. And so it goes through a series of about, I would say, 10 weeks of these emails, with maybe even more because it skips weeks in between. And you can set, you know, pauses and things like that. You can spark different actions from sales reps and all sorts of things in this thought leadership program. And ours is wildly successful. We typically get an open email rate from an email blast of about, you know, 6%, you know, on average. From our lead nurturing programs, we're getting 60% open rates on these emails, which then we're not selling anything. We're just staying in front of them. And this really goes back to the position of, you know, the 60% of research is done before they ever fill out a lead form. They're just interested in, you know, we know who they are. We know they were interested in one of our services, products or services at the time, and we're giving them relevant information about it. That's all we're doing.
Right.
Obviously, at the bottom of the email, there's ways to click through to, I wouldn't even say landing pages, product pages with some tracking, some marketing automation tracking, so we know where they're coming from. But a 60% open rate on those emails is phenomenal. And we see the traffic. We see people getting to our website, filling out forms because of it. We're seeing the transition from dripping them with content to filling out lead forms and becoming re-engaged. It's pretty interesting. It's fun to watch.
Absolutely, and yeah, I mean, just the relevancy factor of it and the no sell. I don't know that I could express that enough. So many people want to say buy, 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 and in today's world, it really turns people off.
Oh, huge. People have got BS detectors like you can't believe, right?
Yeah.
And they don't want to be sold to. No one wants to be sold to. And frankly, we have a hard time getting our salespeople to call leads, which marketing calls leads, right? Sales, like I mentioned, they want qualified leads coming in, and qualified leads are a little different than leads, raw leads, right?
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to call raw leads, and so this lead nurturing really qualifies them adequately before we throw them over the fence. And you know what? They've gone through that, and they're ready to talk to someone after getting 10 emails on a product that they're interested in.
Right.
It re-engages them. So
yeah, and John, excluding sales call, just to bring back the value of marketing automation and why we think it's so important for everybody, you have a 10-week program excluding sales calls made. How many people does it take to run that 10 weeks?
none.
Exactly.
I set up once. It's
Zero.
like I've done that.
Yeah.
And I maybe look at that every 3 or 4 months to make sure the content is fresh or update.
Right.
You know, in my business, there's a lot of legislative updates and things like that. So I have to make sure it's fresh. But I look at it every 3 months or so. It's going on its own. And, you know, we get tens of thousands of leads that this is dropping an email to without even, I don't even think about it.
Yep.
It does it for me.
Uh-huh.
And frankly, the same with lead scoring. Like when people are coming to our website, I'm not doing it. It's pushing leads into the sales team. I'm not even looking at it. I mean, I report them.
So you're a glorified data geek now.
Yeah, I'm a data geek. I'm definitely a data geek. So it's easy. And you just set this up once, and you know, especially in these new marketing automation systems, it's drag and drop functionality. The hardest part is coming up with the content.
Right.
Like, you know, let's write the right blog articles or white papers or whatever that it's not selling. That's the most difficult part. You put those in the system, drag and drop. You build a campaign, and it put little stop gaps in there so they get a little break for them, and you're off. It's done. And
I want to move on, but before I do, just talk to the bottom of the sales, or to almost the end of the sales cycle or continuation of the sales cycle. But is the idea that John just expressed for 2.5 months plus after having just the lead discovered, the automation is working. Where is the most valuable part of our entire funnel? It's in our purchasers. It's people who can come back and purchase. Who are most often the most neglected group? Our purchasers. And so this is a beautiful tool that can be connected to your CRM or your sales program, so that you can actually continue to drip on somebody to upsell them afterwards. I mean, these people are already engaged with you, and without doing it,
they like your company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've been ignoring them up to now. You can set and play this program and just give them as much valuable information as you can, keeping yourself top of mind. It improves the relationship that they have with the company, and obviously improves the dollar spent per customer that you guys have. So the value of it in front of the funnel as well as after the sell occurs is absolutely there. Let's go on, because I know
I have so much to say there. I have so many things to jump in on there, but I won't. I love this stuff.
You can tell that we're quite excited. We really like what we're talking about today. So we got into the weeds, as we mentioned we would, but we want to explain one more time how easy this really is. And so in a 3-step process, I wanted to show you guys what it really takes to implement a program of this nature. And the first one is simply to connect your marketing channels. If you know the logins to your CRM, your MailChimp, your social, your WebEx, and your analytics, you can literally out of the box with most of the major automation programs, just log into them, and everything is connected, and it will begin reading your data. Other than a short, there is a bit of a technical setup, which is placing the script on your website, and then you do usually need a vanity URL of some sort, so you have to do a CNAME. But in order for you to have a website to begin with, you've already done that once, and to replicate it is absolutely the easiest thing in the world. There's a few other things with DKIM and email setup, but usually they take less than 5 minutes to complete. And so if you know your logins, you could pretty much get this thing set up in less than 24 hours.
Oh, absolutely, I agree. I wasn't part of the setup, but I've done it for in the past for a number of these, and it's literally just connecting them, logging in, you putting in your username and password. Yep. There's APIs that connect all these things together and pull the data in. Simple, straightforward.
Absolutely. And again, the major ones will have this out of the box. And to what John was just saying, those that if you guys are using a different CRM that isn't offered, almost, you know, I don't want to say 90%, I bet I'm too high there, but a majority of the time there's already an existing API. These people have been approached already, and there's something you can tap into.
Or a pretty simple workaround if they don't have an API.
And fairly cost effective as well, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's how this whole thing gets started. That's step number 1, less than 24 hours. Step number 2, this is the meat of the process, and this is creating an automation program. These are the sales and campaigns. This is where sales and marketing really need to sit down and talk about the things, the touch points that they want to see and the interaction that they want an automated program to do before it starts sending notifications to sales or alerts to marketing, or you know, dropping people out of, you know, how long does it last? Does it go 90 days? Is it a 6-month process? Is it a continual drip campaign? And so, John, you were mentioning you have a number of campaigns for all of these. Can you explain a little of the thought process behind that?
Well, having been overwhelmed by this very slide in the past, this very look at campaigns, this is the drag and drop thing that I was mentioning. You can just take, okay, send email, put a weight in here, put a Salesforce queue to have a salesperson call, put landing pages and forms and things like that on this. This can be as complex as you make it or as simplistic as you make it. You can make this 2 of those little boxes, right? 2 different emails with a 1-week wait in between, right. Which makes it very, very easy to start, very easy to get off the ground, and once you get your feet under you, add to it, change it. This is editable all the time. And so you can customize this as you get more complex, you get more comfortable with it. You can add more emails, you can add tasks in Salesforce through the API. You can do all of these different things very, very easily. You can actually add different tracks. You can see this has got a couple different tracks to it, right? If they open this email, then they get this email. And you can get much, much more sophisticated as you go on. But don't be overwhelmed by that. It's so, so easy to start off. Having done this multiple times, I literally had a few of these back in, I don't know, 5 or 7 years ago when we were kicking these off, with 2 boxes here, with a little connection in between that waited a week. And frankly, the reporting is all integrated in this. So you can say, okay, did they open this? Did they not open this? Did they interact with it? Did they click on links in it? And that stuff is a wealth of information when you're just starting off. You can A/B test different emails with this. You can A/B test subject lines, and you can, like I say, you can get as sophisticated as you want. But start easy. It's really not difficult at all.
I can't agree with you more. I know for us, when I go into a company and I'm implementing this, they want to get the Rolls Royce out of the gates. And what we don't understand is that automation is so good at delivering us data back that we really should start more simple, and even with 1, and understand how the user reacts to it and tweak it and perfect it, and then move on to bigger campaigns and different tracks and things of that nature, because the data is going to inform you. I mentioned earlier that marketing and sales should sit down and have a meeting. At that point, I would argue you guys are guessing. Well, we should send it this
Great
time.
point.
You don't know.
You don't know. And
are you pissing people off?
Yeah, or sales will always have an opinion, right? You're talking to their customers as they see it, right? Well, they're the company's customers, and so we just start simple, and it doesn't need to be a big hash out with sales either, because you just say, okay, we're going to start simple. This is how we're going to do it, and it doesn't need to be a tenuous situation. Start small.
Absolutely. Let's go to number 3, and this is kind of what we've been talking about as well, but just this, it'll generate the reports, and you start to adjust your automation programs. Start to read the data. Start making decisions on data and not opinions. I can't express that enough.
Yeah, and one of the things that the data told us was we A/B test some of these emails in our campaign to be more templated, right? Templatized, so it looks, you know, ADP and really flashy, and another one looking like it just came from a sales rep out of Outlook. Mm-hmm. And we had a lot of opinions. No, it's got to be branded. It's got to be this, and the numbers told us otherwise. We knew exactly what we had to do after this, and no one could argue with it.
Right.
So you start small, you get the data.
Absolutely.
Roll with the data. No one can argue. It's a moot point now.
It really is, and it moves the meeting along so quickly because you could sit for hours and argue who's right. You can end that conversation by, let's go test. In a week, we'll sit back at the table and you can shake my hand or I'll shake yours.
Yep.
Done deal.
Is the button blue or red? Well, let's try them both.
Right. And I mean, John and I are professional marketers. We would love to sit here and say, we're going to give you the best campaign out of the gates. We never fail. No marketer can make that statement. Industries are different. Every company is different. There's a wide range of variables, and if you want to have a unique twist on who your brand is, you might be in healthcare, or you might be in automotive, or whatever it is, and the book has been written for the last 50 years. They know how to do it. They put the science behind it, but that means you are a cookie-cutter automotive. What happens when you put your own voice into something? Does that change the way that people react to you? Does that change how often they want to get your information? HubSpot is a great example. They produce content like it's going out of style. Marketo and HubSpot really kind of taught us how to use content properly and just kept putting it out. And where they didn't go with sales, they saw people really engaging with it, consuming it, and sharing it so that they could just keep pumping it out. Whereas other companies were just saying buy, 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 and you could only send one of those a month without pissing everybody off. And so you really need to kind of sit down and analyze your own tone. How aggressive are you guys? What are your goals? And tweak the system to match all of those different things. And again, just come back to the reports and let the reports guide you to reaching that goal.
Yeah, one last comment, and we're probably coming up with time here, but markets are adjusting. Your target demographic is adjusting. People are buying your products are not the same person that bought the products 10 years ago, just through demographic shifts and things like that. And cookie cutter approach is no longer acceptable. And marketing automation allows you to tailor it, test it, try it, and revitalize it. We even have, it's funny, we even have a direct mail component plugged into our marketing automation, which is so interesting because everyone says direct mail is dead. Yeah. I disagree completely. It's actually revitalized right now.
Correct.
And the direct mail component of this is creating leads where we never thought was possible. And who would have thought direct mail? But it's integrated into our marketing automation, and it adds to the scores, and they go out automatically and things like that. It's super, super cool. But no one would have ever predicted that because it's all digital, right? So it's all testing.
Absolutely. And we'll speed up a little bit just to respect everybody's time out there, but we do still have some time and a few slides we definitely want to get to. The next is, you guys are sitting here great. You told a wonderful story. I feel like I want to do, who is actually using marketing automation though? And so let's just go over that really quick. Here's a slide that shows a bunch of stats that I have to agree with because I'm sure that the data is correct, but I don't necessarily agree with them from a top level. And what that means is you see that a lot of small companies, or very few small companies are actually using it. Are we telling you you shouldn't be using it as a small company? I'm not. I don't know, John.
No, absolutely not. There's a lot of really great solutions that are applicable to small businesses. Now, there's some that are maybe prohibitive, right, but some of these smaller solutions are fantastic for small businesses, and they maybe even oversimplify it. Maybe not oversimplify, but simplify it to a point that it's really easy to start off with somebody who's never done this before. So, no, I absolutely disagree. I mean, I think everyone should be using it. It really amplifies and magnifies your marketing team.
And that's what I want you to just expand on, Sean. I see this as small companies not using it as such a disadvantage, and then large companies who are using it that don't need it because they have the headcount. They have somebody and the money to actually pay people to do every channel, where a small company doesn't have that. And this is the actual solution to come in and say, we can afford one person. We can also get marketing automation and look like we have a team of 5.
Exactly. That's a great point, and I hadn't thought of it like that, but absolutely. It really gives you an advantage, a competitive advantage, because now you're maximizing or magnifying your one person in marketing into 5, right? They're staying there. You've got automated emails going out after lead forms, and this drip system going on, and lead scoring, and all these different things that one person is pulling off. So,
right,
totally agree.
I mean, if you've got a marketing manager in your company right now who's pulling their hair out and begging for help, and you recognize it, and you want to do something, but you can't bring on another person, for less than the cost of another person, you can start marketing automation. And
I would say substantially less than another person.
Absolutely. And we'll go over a few of these programs here in just a moment. Who uses it? This is actually a slide that we've created, and we'll also send out with our follow-up communication. But we find that marketing automation skews towards the end of this graph, and you can see kind of the lower groupings are basically the sophistication of a company within marketing, and then the side bar is just the revenue that they make. And so obviously the greater the sophistication, the higher your revenue going to be. But we find that most advanced companies, as you move past some of the, I need a website, a logo, a printed collateral, which is kind of the base for starting a company, into the enhanced where, okay, I might have an ESP like MailChimp, I'm sending out 100,000 emails, I do some media buying, I do a direct marketing piece. I'm pretty much at that point. I'm ready to take it to the next level. That's when people are starting to implement marketing automation in their goals. And so you should kind of analyze where is your company at, make sure marketing automation is a good natural step. But I think any company really can use it. And with the help of a partner in most cases, you can definitely make the most out of it without a lot of needs. Quickly, let's talk about a few of these software programs. So I'm showing a slide here. This is most of the really big ones that are mentioned a lot. There are a ton of others out there, and I may not even include all the big ones here, but we will go over a few of these specifically. And so, John, I'm going to turn over to just discuss Eloqua, if you can, just real briefly, kind of define where you think it sits within the market.
Yeah, I think Eloqua is pretty much the cream of the crop. It's probably the most expensive one out there. It's more of a big business solution. They may have a small business solution. I don't want to undersell them like that, but it's fantastic. It has the capability to do so many things that I haven't even breached yet. It's really sophisticated, and like I love it. It's just there's actually an Eloqua University that you can go to and graduate in Eloqua, which just goes to show you how much you can do. So if you're a big business actually looking for some of these things, it's got the capability to do it. I've also used Marketo and Pardot at smaller businesses, and both fantastic solutions have that drag and drop capability, the very simplistic campaign development, the lead scoring, the progressive forms, which we haven't even talked about yet. A lot of really, really cool functionality that really would meet any of your needs. It's just really, take a look at them, test drive them, see what meets your needs. What are you trying to do first and foremost? How difficult is the setup and things like that. All of these, honestly, are I don't have personal experience with the others. I've obviously heard of them, but all great solutions. I don't know that you could go wrong with any of them.
Yep, and really, I think that it's analyzing your business and what you need. Are you ready for an enterprise solution? And if so, you might choose the Marketo of the world or the Eloquas of the world. Even HubSpot's a little bit more pricey, but it has some really neat use cases that it has built-in CRM. So if you don't have that, this is a great way to introduce your company to a CRM before you have to take on that added expense of getting a Salesforce or another enterprise type solution.
That's a good point too, because depending on what other solutions you may have, like a MailChimp or on-demand email creation, things like that. What solutions do you currently have? Do some of these integrate with them? Is there an API for them? You could really investigate it from that aspect. What's your current CRM? Do these have really great and robust connectivity between your CRM? So look at it from that perspective, because if you already have something that you're really loving with a CRM or a mail tool or analytics tools or whatever else, see if they integrate. That's a really good starting point, right? Because you don't want to unplug those things just to get a marketing automation. Make this work to your advantage, not change everything you're doing.
I have to say, I actually have a grid that I work off of when I start working with companies who are entertaining marketing automation, and that's the first thing I ask them, what are all your other systems? And that's how I choose a match for them, is just which ones it will integrate the easiest, and oftentimes it's a huge cost savings for you to not overlook those. Other times, we've just decided to scrap their old programs and upgrade in a way. So there's a lot of different business use cases of how to pick these. I wanted to just go to this last slide really quick and talk about a couple of these because, in my opinion, these are two of the most accessible. And if you want to dip your toe into this water, they are both incredibly powerful, and they come with a pretty low cost. So Act-On is more of a B2B solution, and Infusion for me is more of a B2C, although they may not agree with me classifying them into those two things. But Act-On has a very low barrier to entry. It integrates very well. Its user interface is probably one of the, if not the most simple one I've ever used. It's incredible. Infusionsoft user interface, not quite as user-friendly, but its ability to scale and its price point of under $500 for unlimited contacts is pretty incredible.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Right?
Yeah,
I mean,
that's amazing.
It's huge. So you can scale both of these, and you guys can read the stuff on the screen to get a few more details on that, but we're obviously always here to help as well. But these are a couple. I just wanted to show you the difference of enterprise versus some of these lower level. But again, they have all the same features more or less. Moving on through that, there are just a bunch of others. I provide a link here that when we share these slides with you, you guys can go and look. They're pretty much a comprehensive list of every marketing automation program that's out there. You can go out and do all your own research and figure out which one's the best for you. There's just a number of differences, and again, we don't have time to get to them all today, but if you guys want to do some research, the link is there. We are about at time, which is good for you guys because this is something that I do not normally do on webinars. I hope you guys know that. But I do not normally promote an agency relationship. But this is the one time I actually am going to do that. And I kind of talked offline with John a bit about this, and I'm hoping he agrees. But I wanted to show you some of the benefits of why you'd actually use a value partner in this. And for me, it comes down to the statement I make to a lot of my clients. You would not go and buy your phone system without consulting a phone service provider. And what I mean by that is consultants, you don't want your phone system, your dial-in package to be set and play. This is a cloud-based solution. You can buy it online. You do not have to talk to support people. It can be very confusing, and you can make a lot of errors. And for any of those out there who are using CRMs, you know that bad data in produces bad data out. And this, for me, is one of the things that you want to set up correctly. You want to navigate the issues that come up, I mean, from the different integrations to doing APIs to different marketing campaigns and how to set up the site with the forms. And there are some things that having a partner in this case is extremely valuable. I use this stat above that among the B2B marketing managers, the most important considerations are price, product integration, and ease of use. An agency like Fluid can really, really help you through that process. This can be a 3-month setup process. It could be less than that if you want to invest the time on your end. It really isn't that difficult, but it can also be 6 months, a year, or just never properly used, bought and never used. And that's what I want you to avoid. A lot of these automation companies require you to pay $1,500 setups, $3,000 setups, and it's because they recognize the fact that if you don't get trained on these things, you won't use it, and eventually you won't be a customer. And the value of it really is there. You have to use it the right way. And I'm sorry, John, what do you have to say?
Yeah, and I think the risk of that is potentially large, meaning bad data in, bad data out kind of thing. And you don't want to muddy the waters. And I just say set it up right from the get-go. It's going to solve a world of problems. down the string, right? From somebody who knows what they're doing, knows how to integrate, or not to integrate, but pull the right data, populate the right fields, things like that is important, right? And you just don't want to screw up your current database, mess up your database, and muddy those waters, because that's the lifeblood of your business. Right. So just be careful there. A partner would really benefit in that realm. And then, don't overcomplicate it either, because once it's set up correctly, maybe some consultancy would help going down the road. But it's once you're there, right? So I agree.
Yeah, I think that initial setup's the real challenge. Other than that, though, the price is a really big thing. We offer two solutions. You can come on under an instance of Fluid and with some of the platforms, at which point we can manage it, and there might be an ongoing fee of some sort. But the price that you'll be in on there is probably 50% less than the sticker price that you can go and get on your own. The other option is that you just buy it through us and we hand it over to you. It's your program, it's your platform, and you still get our price discount, just simply because we have that quantity discount type of play. And so that's another really valuable reason to come in with a partner on these things alone. I would say two things you need an agency for: marketing automation and media buying, simply because if you go direct, you won't get the cost savings that you can when you deal with people who are, aggregating multiple clients.
Good. Yeah.
So that's kind of our entire presentation. We have a short summary, but I think in summary, I think it's time to consider marketing automation. Marketing automation does so many things. It's ridiculous, but you don't have to do them all at once. Start slow and grow. There's advantages to early adoption. So this is something that if you were on the cusp, you might really consider getting started soon. And then this is one of the times that you actually need to consider a purchase. And I've played with or implemented this with a number of clients, and oftentimes we move the budget line to a software purchase or a CapEx, rather than
pull it out of marketing.
Yeah, get it out of marketing. I mean, this benefits the whole company. This is like buying a phone system, and so CapEx that, and find creative ways to pay for it. So that's our summary. I know John has got some exciting thing. Domopalooza, I'm waiting for my invite, by the way. I'll send that shout out. But do you have time for a couple questions, or
Sure.
do we got to get going?
Sure.
Okay, so we will just do a couple quick questions here. Our first question is, what is the most helpful feature of marketing automation? John?
Ooh, the most helpful feature.
It's a loaded question.
Yeah, I mean, that could depend on the day, actually, right? But I think really it just magnifies limited marketing capacity almost, you know what I mean? So if you only have a couple of people, it really magnifies that. We've all been on websites and things that you get responses from getting to a website, or filled out a lead form and you're like immediately, or gone to a webinar for that matter, or gone to an event or a trade show or whatever it may be, and you get responses saying, hey, thanks for attending, here's that PDF that you were interested in, or here's more information about the particular product you're interested in. Let me know if this video helps out. And we all go, man, they've got it together, right? That company's got it together. And your response is, man, I want to sign up for a company that's got it together, right? And your perception is everything as a customer. And that really magnifies it. And I think that makes you look just buttoned up, put together to your potential buyers. So in any capacity, it magnifies your limited spend in marketing.
Yep, couldn't agree more. You do a lot with a little.
Yep.
Next question, how big does my business need to be to use automation? I think we pretty much answered that one. I think John and I agree pretty much any size you should start.
Agreed.
Where is a good resource to go for help with marketing automation? We talked about agencies. There's also, John mentioned that there are universities, and most of the automation programs also have marketplaces where you can go on and find certified partners. We obviously would love you to come to us. We are a certified partner in that. But there's a number of people. So if you just research certified partner, whatever platform that you're looking for, it'll come up with a list. And then the marketing automation companies themselves.
They usually have really great user conferences. I've been to Marketo ones, Pardot ones, Eloqua ones, where there's breakout sessions and training sessions and stuff like that on all of them that are wildly helpful. I mean, you go back to your desk with a new lease on things to do and new things to try, and so those user conferences are also fantastic.
I, about 10 years plus, went to DemandCon, where I actually learned all about this. That was my introduction to marketing automation. I fell in love at that moment and have been doing it ever since. And so there's some of those conferences also have like certification class, not in any specific program, but just to really learn the in-depth of why you pick a program and how to set up a campaign. And I found that really valuable as I went out and searched for different providers. Next question, how much automation is too much? There's a good question.
You want to take that one?
I'll let you. I'm scared of that.
Yeah, too much marketing automation is when you are, I mean, these marketing automation programs are so powerful that you can get creepy, right? You can respond to every little move, every little sniff that you see them on a website. You know, they click on an email, any click on an email, they open an email, you can respond, hey, I saw you notice this. So there's definitely a possibility of having too much automation. You need to gauge that with, you know, would I be interested in receiving this if it was something I was very, you know, keen on, right? So be careful with it. Be careful with it because, I mean, you now turn into a CSI on every movement they make on your website, and you can scare them off pretty easily. Like this company is just spamming me now, and that's too far, right? You know, that's taking it too far. But there's also a lot of stopgaps in the marketing automation systems to prevent that too. So you know they can't receive, and you set those up. They can't receive an email every day. They can't receive an email once a week, or whatever you want to do that. But there's definitely too much.
I agree, and I think there's a couple metrics you can be watching. The feedback loop from yourselves. How are people responding? Are they getting positive feedback? Customer service, what are they reporting? I'd start there. The other is unsubscribes. You're getting a ton of unsubscribes, you're probably going too fast. But again, back to data. Try it, find out, gear it back to where you get into a comfortable area and people are enjoying what you're giving and not feeling that creepy factor.
Great.
Anything else?
Yeah, I think it's great.
Fantastic. I think we just have time for one more. And this is, how much should I spend on marketing automation? The $1 million question, everybody.
$1 million. You know, I don't know if I have a percentage that I could necessarily say how much you spend on it. How much do you value it? How much budget do you have for your marketing team? If it's very, very slim and you have one person, magnify that by, you know, one of these solutions out here is $500 a month. Could you employ another person for $500 a month? Absolutely not. Right. So
and they'd make errors.
Yeah, they make errors.
Like they forget to send on the deadline. Like this never forgets.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, I mean, look at it from that perspective. How much more could you be doing with a marketing automation system? You could magnify a person 3 times by one marketing automation system that they're well trained on, that they're using to its capacity. So you have one person in marketing, you know, magnify that to 3 people in marketing with $500 a month. You couldn't hire 2 more people for that, right? So it's almost like the question of, can you afford to not do it, right? I couldn't. There's no way I could handle the amount of stuff that I'm doing right now without marketing. So
I couldn't either. I don't think there is a price you can put on it. I can throw out the price that you are at, maybe $500 a month for a pretty good program, and so that's a baseline. There are cheaper ones, and you get into other issues, but I might just plan at a base of maybe $500 a month. But to John's point, qualify that with other reasons. Can you afford not to? Are you getting another employee? I mean, are you looking to hire somebody and you haven't considered marketing automation? I don't want to get rid of jobs. My whole goal with marketing automation is to actually increase the number of jobs because the revenue is going up and you need real thinkers to come up with great content to improve engagement. There's no robot that can do that.
No, it just shifts. It just shifts responsibility to really solidify their actions into meaningful results. Like it doesn't replace someone. I mean, it can initially, but it grows the business. It grows the number of people aware, you know, awareness of your business, things like that. It doesn't replace somebody. No. I mean, initially it can, right? Not replace, but make up for somebody that you couldn't currently afford.
Right.
But use it very long, and you're going to be hiring more people.
Oh yeah, I mean these things are content machines. They devour it, and so you need to be coming up with fresh stuff, keeping your content as relevant as you can as well. So anyway, I think that's all the time we have for questions as well. I want to thank everybody for joining. Really want to thank John Rees for coming out today and giving us an hour of his time. Thank you, John.
Yeah, you're welcome. This has been fun.
It's been really fun.
I'm passionate about it.
You guys can find us online at Fluid Webinar Series, at Get Fluid or at John T. Rees. And we'll be back with you guys next month. Be sure to sign up. Thanks.
Thanks.